Very good morning. Welcome to Edgbaston, where play has been delayed on the final morning of this Rothesay County Championship Division 1 game between Warwickshire and Yorkshire. Yorkshire set 549 to win, were 98 for 5 overnight. There has been rain probably from about 9 o'clock till half 10 here at Edgbaston. But now the mopping up operation has happened. The umpires have been out to inspect and the players are warming up. So we anticipate that there will be a start in the not too distant future. We'll keep you posted with that. But just to let you know that the start has been delayed on day 4 at Edgbaston. This is Richard Wilford at Edgbaston, where the only thing that can really deny Warwickshire on the final day you'd think would be the weather, and we have got a delayed start here. Overnight, Yorkshire chasing an implausible target of 549 were in real trouble at 98 for 5, 3 wickets for Ethan Bamber. He and Ollie Halland-Dolby are currently warming up. We're expecting to start before too long. There hasn't been an official announcement just yet, but rain has delayed play. Yorkshire will resume on 98 for 5 in their second innings. Very good morning, welcome to Edgbaston. Sterling job done here by the ground staff because we have lost just 15 minutes this morning and 4 overs of cricket. And we are coming out for the final day's play of this game between Warwickshire and Yorkshire. Yorkshire in a pickle, I think it's fair to say. 549 the notional target. Really the goal for them was to bat out 4 sessions, and the first session didn't go well. They closed the day on 98 for 5 yesterday, and that's where they resume. Matthew Revis has batted well. He's on 37. He's going to be joined at the crease by George Hill, who has 15. And Warwickshire will be trying to put together the spell that they need to close out a second successive home victory in the Championship, which would really sustain their place in the top half of the table. I think teams in the top half are generally having a good week. I mean, Surrey Notts will be a draw in all likelihood, but they're both picking up plenty of points from that game. We will start the day with Ethan Bamber bowling. I'm Richard Wilford from BBC Radio WM and BBC Commentary Warwickshire, and then from the BBC Yorkshire stations, it's a very good morning once again to Jonathan Doidge.
Good morning, Richard. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, Warwickshire obviously well in control and should sort this out. It's just a matter of the when, and obviously these two for Yorkshire, George Hill and Matthew Revis, plenty of hopes of a dramatic turnaround on the final day and playing out for an heroic draw. Well, plenty of rest on their shoulders. Johnny Bairstow was just out there in the middle, I noticed, and clapped them both as they walked past him on the way out to the middle, so he's not giving it up.
4 slips in place, point, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket. Looks like Zen Malik's fit to field. And Ollie Hannon-Dolby at deep square leg. And the first ball of the morning is defended out towards point by Hill. It looks to me, is that Jake Lintott at mid-on? Looks like it might be. Wait to see whether he picks the ball up left-handed. You know, I'm not sure that Michael Booth is going to be out there this morning. Having been involved in that collision with Zen Malik yesterday. Quite an unpleasant collision. He suffered a lower leg injury. He tried to walk off initially. As this next ball just climbs a little bit from a length. Hill sees it whistle past the bat to some relief. And through to Alex Davis.
Yeah, the ground staff did a great job to get it on for now. It did rain a fair bit. It was coming down quite heavily as I left the hotel. About 9:30ish. So it's not that long since that it passed.
Test match grounds these days tend to be really good at draining, particularly as I haven't had a lot of rain in this area in the last few weeks. As this one wraps Hill on the pads, it would have been too high. They're going to come through for a leg bite. 99 for 5. Bit of bustle and pace from Ethan Bamber. I was exchanging messages last night with Ollie Hannon-Dolby about Ethan, and he was saying what a great professional he is. He says he puts Ollie to shame. Now that's a challenge, because OHD is one of the great professionals in the game, and you know, regarded as such right round the circuit as well. It's one of the reasons that he's the chair of the PCA. He says no, he'll have done an hour in the gym before I get up, said Ollie. So there's some dedication there. 3 wickets in this innings, 5 in the match for Bamber. It comes into bowl to Revis, who plays inside the line of that, and it goes through to Alex Davis. Conditions you'd think would be favourable for the Seamers. 33rd over with this ball.
Yeah, I mean, even though the pitch has obviously been covered, again, back to that moisture thing, it's been in the air. We've got a cold situation out there, so there's bound to be a little bit of something. And they put the light roller on, by the way, when the covers were removed.
Yes, it was certainly the light one, wasn't it? Little fella, as this one's left alone outside our stump. There was another bowler warming up with Warwickshire this morning, and did mark out a run up at the far end. And I wasn't entirely sure whether it might have been Nathan Gilchrist. I'm not entirely sure who it was. And there is the question as to whether they are going to call for a substitute in this game if Michael Booth can't continue. But at the moment there's no official word that I've seen. And Bamber is in to complete the first over of the morning, and again that goes past the edge of Revis's bat. He definitely played at that one And quite low through to Alex Davis. The carry might be slightly less than it was. Ended over 99 for 5, and Ollie Hannon-Dolby is quick to move into position at the far end.
Yep, the weather hasn't come to Yorkshire's rescue, just 15-minute delay. Actually, I mean, those things, people often just throw it out there, don't they? Willy-nilly, that those things even themselves out. I'm not sure, actually, in 8 seasons that with the Yorkies they ever really have. The season that they got relegated, they lost, I think it was something like 38% of playing time, and in about 3 of those matches they were in, you know, the drive position, if you like, ready to pick up winning points. And obviously on the day, well, it was all down here, wasn't it? Liam Norwell. That final day of the season when Yorkshire already finished. And it all happened. Here's Hannon-Dolby. George Hill chases one that bounces on him.
It was the most epic day that I've seen for a long, long time. That in Hampshire, the target was only about 130, 140. And Norwell was exhausted. He shouldn't have played in the match because of an injury, and we never really saw him again, unfortunately, because of injury. Some very dark clouds away to our left at the moment, skirting the ground. I wouldn't rule out some more rain yet this morning. But, yeah, that was a tough break for Yorkshire that year.
Here's OHD again, and Hill playing inside the line. And through to the gloves of Alex Davies. So still 99 for 5. Yeah, just, you know, I know that we have a tendency, don't we? It never happens for us. But I would say over that period of time at least, it probably has worked against the Yorkies, let's say, not 50-50, but more like 66-33, you know, that type of thing. There's been a few where they've got out of jail or whatever as well. Hannon-Dolby in. And George Hill pulling his bat inside the line once again. But it's a good start from Ollie, isn't it? He banged one in a little bit short of first up and nearly enticed George into playing well, he did play a bit of a rash shot. Didn't use his feet. And now he's back on the money again.
Well, the carry is great from that end, isn't it? In that he's putting it just back of a length. He's getting it shoulder of the bat height or higher, and it's going through to the chest of Alex Davis. That's very difficult to play in not brilliant light with the cloud cover this morning.
Here he is again. This time George is able to get forward and drives straight to short extra cover. No run. There are, I think we can count the spectators away to the right in the Hollies stand. 5, I think.
You may well be right. I'm trying to decide whether that's a group of 2 or a group of 3. If it's 3, then it'll take us to 6 in the stand, I think.
The gent on the back row, he's brave.
He knows his spot. He's happy.
Hannon-Dolby in again, and Hill leaves it. No run. I've always quite enjoyed walking around the ground, you know, around club cricket and all that. My dad was one of those who liked to stay in the same place so he could get a feel for what it was like in the same spot. What about you? Are you a walker or?
When I was down here a lot in my teenage years, probably we'd often go for a different stand each session. The old sort of member stand in front of the old scoreboard, which would be away to the left of where we were. That was the morning, and in the afternoon we may well go to the Hollies, and then in the evening the Raglan. I don't know why, but that's what we used to do.
Bit of variety. George again getting forward here. George Hill, and that's fielded once more at short extra cover, and there is no run, so it remains 99 for 5 after a maiden by Ollie Hannon-Dolby to start the final morning at the Birmingham end.
The early years when I was a little and coming with my mum and sometimes my dad, would be in the little 2-tier stand that is still called the press box stand. The press box was never in the press box stand. It was in the bit next to it, but it adjoined it. You could get from one to the other, whereas you can't now get from the one stand to the other. So it was the stand next to the press box stand. There were some radio broadcasters were in the areas with windows there. Hospital radio used to be there. As Bamber begins a new over, and he's whipped through square leg for 4. Ollie Hannon-Dolby was now going to close that down. Very nice strike that from Revis, and it brings up the 100 for Yorkshire, 103 for 5 in the 35th over, still with well over 400 runs required.
Hospital radio. There's the thing. Started doing that a long time ago. Good days as well. Couldn't get on the broadcast at Headingley for Hospital Radio because so many people wanted to have a go.
Bamber, back of a length, guided out into the offside, and there's no run. Yeah, there's a lot of people started there, still do. Mike Taylor's son's doing some work, from commentary work for Birmingham Hospital Radio. He's a teenager.
I know the Leeds Hospital Relays Association, as they're called. They still do Yorkshire cricket, rugby league, football. Lots of teams up in the area.
And again, makes Revis stand up high on the back foot and defends out into the offside. The ground staff are getting ready to bring the hover cover back on before too long. So I think we may get an interruption fairly rapidly here.
All is calm out there just at the moment, but it only takes one Ethan Bamber delivery to upset the apple cart. Matthew Revis just trying to get himself back in after a decent third day with the bat for him.
As he leaves judiciously outside off stump. He's had a good game on the whole.
Yeah, he has.
I think he's probably earned himself a few more overs in the coming championship games, either side of the first T20 break. I'm sure he'll be part of that as well. He's got plenty of cricket to play.
Certainly will.
Bamber approaches once more down the leg side, taken there by Davis once more, got nothing on it. The fact that it's a 6-man battery of ground staff that have come towards the hover cover suggests they're very keen on the notion that it's going to rain again. And the prospect of rain is really the next hour, hour and a half, and after that the day should get better. Which would love to sneak one out whilst they've got this window of opportunity. Try and get Dom Best to the crease before any further break. Big step forward and defensive shot from Revis. The first 3 overs of the day have been seen through. There's a helmet coming out. It might be that Alex Davis is going to stand up to the stumps here, or equally with the bounce that Alan Dolby's been getting. We could see a short leg. No, it is for Davis, I think. Is it? No. Where is the helmet going? Up the other end of the pitch now. So I think it's a message coming on Fred Barnard, and the helmet is now making its way off the pitch. Who knows?
Yeah, interesting manoeuvre is Alan Dolby from the Birmingham end, bowling to George Hill. First one is wide of off stump and he leaves. Now, my weather app doesn't actually suggest that there is going to be any immediate rain, but they clearly have got a better view of things down at the ground level and probably have a more accurate app. But what it does say, Richard, is that at the moment, my location, as it says, Birmingham, 9 degrees, feels like 5 degrees.
Yeah.
So here we are, mid-May, and still it's chilly to be playing cricket. Alan Dolby bowls. Hill plays the original line, and the ball nips on him. Good delivery by Ollie, and not a lot you can do about that as the batter, I don't think, apart from hope that you're playing inside it.
I mean, weather app or not, the clouds away to our left, if they're coming towards us, which I think they are, I think the weather is coming as it rather more traditionally does, slowly actually. The clouds aren't moving very quickly, but slowly from the southwest. There are some rain clouds amongst them. It's just a question whether they hit or skirt. Floodlights coming on now as well.
Another good delivery, and again George is just showing good discipline with the bat, George Hill here, to play inside the line, and Ollie is also showing good discipline with the ball, because if he keeps it there or thereabouts, human nature being as it is, one of these two might just push a little more firmly at it, and that could bring Alex Davis and the 4-man cordon into play. I mentioned I'd took a photograph of Jordan Thompson bowling from that end yesterday with the 5 slips as Hannon Dolby bowls, and Hill runs it down in the gap between the cordon and point, and we'll get 4 through the vacant third man area. 107 for 5, and George on to 19 now. He did respond later on saying, can't remember seeing too many of those in my Yorkshire days, 5-man cordons. I can't remember too many of them either, Jordan.
The thing is, they were able to, with the huge score they got on the board, they were able to be as positive as they wanted to be, and the ball was doing a bit and the wickets were falling down. So it just brightens up a touch, not because of the floodlight, not despite it either, but just a little bit brighter. And the ground staff sit on the hover cover. And you got the building site in action as well, where eventually next summer will emerge the Dennis Amiss stand. What a servant for this county he's been.
Yeah. Alan Dolby bowls to Hill.
Oh.
Similar to just about every ball that he's bowled, barring the one that went for 4 this morning. And again, George this time not able to get forward, just playing from the crease, so lengthwise he's obviously dropped that back a little bit. Yeah, it looks like a scene from a sort of Playmobil shop window at the moment over there. Flashing light on one of the diggers. The crane in operation, on its way up the hook. I'm not sure that George Hill's going to be hooking this delivery, but he does flick it off the hip, backward of square leg, and picks up a single.
But that piece of fielding, I think, does determine that is Jake Lintott, who leaving Warwickshire at the end of this season. But he is fielding for Michael Booth. 108 for 5.
Where's he bound for? Do we know? Is that announced?
No, I think there's optimism that he will find another county. Ethan Bamber. So those first 3 wickets yesterday at the start of that evening session that put Yorkshire firmly on the back foot if they weren't already. And he comes into bowl now to Hill, who shows the full face of the bat, defends it out into the offside. It's quiet in the ground compared to previous days. Smallest crowd, as you'd expect. It's a Monday, it's a work day. Weather forecast wasn't brilliant for this morning. They're missing Ethan Bamber coming in again. That's a good leave from Hill, just outside off stump. City tops of the towers are visible, which is generally a good sign. We've got Mel Farrell here to talk to us about the blue-tinted hotel. The hotel on the ground here is going to be part, vaguely, not quite the same chain, but the same ownership. As this is full, and it's a miscue, but it squirts out past cover for a couple. I think he was aiming leg side, Hill, and has ended up putting it through cover for 2. 110 for 5, each to 22. This partnership now worth 36. And the more they can delay, and they can hope for some weather breaks, and force Warwickshire to scrap for what they want in this game.
If Yorkshire are still 5 down with an hour to go, then there might be some serious hope.
If these two lads both make hundreds, could happen. Hill awaits Ethan Bamber, full delivery, wraps him on the pad. It was heading down the leg side. Malik swoops in from mid-wicket, but they're through comfortably for a leg bye. 111 for 5. Didn't quite have his line right there, Ethan Bamber. The sort of day where they might have liked a bit of Michael Booth, a little bit of not quite shock and awe, but it's that extra pace. Get 1 or 2 up around the grill. Which is rolling the side. Sharp 4 over spells. Bamber bowls outside off stump and Revis watches it go away. So you didn't quite make it to Mel's quiz night in the pub in South Birmingham last night?
No.
It was a tempter, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I did get a message saying that it hadn't started. I was in the middle of eating something at that point because I thought it would start at 7:30, you see. I thought I'm going to struggle to get there on time. And then I got a message at 8 saying it's not started yet.
Bamber in, defended into the leg side by Revis. End of the over. 5 overs this morning have been survived by Yorkshire. 4 overs lost before the start of play, which came just after 11:15. And they are scrapping nice. And Ed Barnard may want to use his bowlers a little bit sort of in rotation today. Might want to mix and match. Jordan Thompson was just giving his arms a whirl there because I think he'd like to have another go. 4 wickets in the match for him so far. 4 for Hannah Dolby, 5 for Bamber. Couple for Barnard.
Hannah Dolby then running in our general direction. And George Hill on the front foot, pushing into the offside. George, 4 first-class hundreds to his name. Yorkshire supporters will know, but perhaps Warwickshire's won't, that he started off higher up the order than he currently is. Yorkshire were just looking for somebody really to score them some runs in the top 4 at the time. It was a bit of a struggle. It still is at the moment as Hannah Dolby bowls and George leaves. And he got a 70 odd at Northampton in one of his first few knocks. And I remember that impressed Andrew Gale. And so he was top 4 material for a while. As so often happens though, you start to bowl more and you get shunted a little bit further down the order. He did have a couple of seasons that were challenging, shall we say. Hannah Dolby is in. Hill plays inside the line of that one. Through to the gloves of Alex Davies.
Where is the hole in the cloud that this sun is poking through? There's sunshine and shadows there. How's that got through? That's amazing. He's a resourceful cricketer, Hill, isn't he? I mean, these two are genuine all-rounders. And you've got 2 genuine all-rounders in your side. It really helps the balance of what you're selecting. Batting at 4 and 7 in this game. 4 perhaps a little bit high for Revis, but if Joe Root's back next week, pack will shuffle again.
Yeah, Hannah Dolby in. George Hill pushing into a gap in the covers and gets through for a single. There's not been lots of rotation of the strike in the first few overs of the day, but at this point in time, I think the pair of them are just having a look.
Well, they've come out with the right attitude here. We've seen the one waft from Hill to Hannah Dolby early on, didn't we? Which was a shot that he didn't really need to be playing this morning. But other than that, they've come out and thought, well, we can bat all the time we want here. It's up to us. You know, Don Bess perfectly capable below us, then a little bit of a tail. If we dig deep, we've got a chance to score some runs today.
Hannah Dolby trying to prevent that, and has done so because Matthew Revis has got an outside edge and has been caught at first slip by
Rob Yates at second slip.
Second slip.
Took the catch, yeah.
Well done. Well spotted you. 112 for 6. Revis gone for 41 from 93 deliveries. And Yorkshire a step further away from saving this. And Warwickshire very much a step closer to winning it with the demise of Revis. That will bring Don Bess out to the middle. And then just Logan van Beek, Jack White and Ben Cliff left to try and stay as long as they can out there in the middle. But Hannah Dolby, you can't say he's not deserved that this morning. He's been nagging there or thereabouts. He's clearly just been nipping the ball on George slightly. He was at the non-striking end, and Matthew Revis hasn't faced much of Ollie, and maybe Even though he's been watching it, maybe that was why he just got a tickle.
I mean, to your point, they hadn't rotated the strike much this morning, and Hill had got used to that line and that length, just back of a length that Hannon Dolby was bowling, and he was getting it sort of above off stump and just wide of off stump in terms of its shape. And Revis has followed it. That's it. You know, he hasn't seen so much of it. He's followed it. 6th slip catch of the match for Rob Yates, who's played a real hand in this with a very fine innings of 81 in Warwickshire's second knock. 4 wickets away from a second championship win of the season. Hoping the weather holds fair, they'd love to get this done by lunch. But you know, Revis can't chide himself too much there, because he's batted as responsibly as anybody in this Yorkshire second innings. Rather fell away. A curious start in this match that Brook and Bairstow have gone in successive overs in each innings. That's not helped, and Bairstow bowled both times. First time not playing a shot to Hannon Dolby. A fate that fell Wharton against Bamber as well yesterday. No shot played.
Yep, so Matthew Revis, 41, 93 balls, 146 minutes. So he's stuck in there, 7 fours. But second slip, I don't know where first went in my mind when the catch was taken.
But he took it in front of first slip. He dived in front of first slip. Whether it would have carried to Sam Hain, I don't know.
Hannon Dolby to Bess. He's opened up first ball. Well bowled, Ollie Hannon Dolby, and well survived, I guess, Don Bess. But a very, very good over indeed. And it means it's 112 for 6 and 4 wickets needed by Warwickshire.
That was a snorter to receive for your first ball. My word. 5 wickets on his return to Warwickshire action. 4 in the first innings, 1 in the second innings for Hannon Dolby, who I think it was 11 he picked up with Worcestershire during his loan spell. So he's already having a more productive season than he did last year. I've rarely seen a bowler bowl a full season with so little fortune as he did last year. Bamber comes in to bowl to Hill, who clips this off his pads, fine for 4. Down in front of the main scoreboard. Straying in line and length, really, and Bamber looks at the heavens. 116 for 6, Hill to 27. Joining us for the first time today, all the background noise is that of a bustling building site away to our left. Some large bits of timber being laid on the 3rd storey of the building that's growing on the left-hand side of the works. Well, what's the work they're doing on that mound? There's a mound over by where the stand starts again at the far end. They're starting to build what will connect the two things together. I don't know.
Yeah, possibly.
It's interesting, isn't it? There's something solid going in there on the slope. Warwickshire are going to put a 4th slip back in here. Jake Lintott is trotting across, the substitute fielder, to go to point. And in comes Ethan Bamber to Hill, who leaves alone outside off stump. That seams away after it pitches and goes further wide, taken in front of first slip by Alex Davis. Now there's some blue sky that we can actually see. The sun's no longer going through it, but we can understand why the sun was briefly glowing on a ground that's floodlit. So Bamber approaches once more. Forward in defence is Hill to backward point. So was it? Were you eating on Broad Street, or did you go back to Brindley Place, somewhere like that? Just a few restaurants there.
Just in the hotel, actually.
Oh. Yeah. It always feels like a slight last resort to eat in the hotel for dinner, I find, on the travels.
Well, usually from a financial point of view it is, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah. Bamber to Hill, slower ball, pushes it out to point once more. No run, 116 for 6. Yorkshire, the one man to go this morning, Matthew Revis. What you're saying is he didn't have a pudding.
Correct. Yes, indeed. Definitely. I mean, pudding prices these days, wherever you go.
Well, that's a tenner a pudding now, isn't it? Tenner a pudding.
Part of, yeah.
Bamber in. The ball to Hill. Good carry there. It was a full delivery. Hill left it correctly outside off stump. Through to Davis once more. They're becoming a good tandem in this match, Hannah Dolby and Bamber. Warwickshire without Chris Woates, Keith Barker, Nathan Gilchrist, none of them involved this week. Michael Booth off the field with an injury. Bamber coming in to complete his 15th over of the innings. And that one keeps a bit low and goes through to Alex Davis. Welcome to listeners to Sports Extra. On the final day here at Edgbaston, delayed start of 15 minutes. Yorkshire resumed on 98 for 5, notionally chasing 549 to win. And they have lost one wicket this morning, that of Matthew Revis, who glanced outside edged a lifting delivery from Hannon Dolby for Rob Yates diving in front of Sam Hain to take his 6th slip catch of this match. So 4 wickets remaining for Warwickshire to take. The sky has cleared a little bit. The ground staff felt there was a threat of rain for a while, but they may still be sitting on the hover cover. But I think they're doing that more for rest and relaxation just for the moment. I think it's quite comfy, to be honest, over there.
Hannon Dolby then, under sunshine, bowls one to Dom Bess, who's walking towards that to play it and to try and cut out any nip off the pitch, and it kicks off the pitch and climbed on its way through to the gloves of Alex Davies. Yorkshire, they put the light roller on before they began to bat yesterday, which suggested that they were very happy with the surface to bat on it after Warwickshire had, when they struggled to pick up the 3 wickets. But then, of course, in that calamitous collapse, were 74 for 5 themselves, and they put the light roller on again this morning once the covers have been removed. Hannon Dolby in, edged by Bess. Rob Yates diving to his right this time, but the ball bounced just short of him. Good bit of fielding though. Hannon Dolby in his 11th over, figures of 1 for 14 at the moment. Very much keeping things dry, keeping things tight out there. Giving nothing. Not that Warwickshire wouldn't. Warwickshire would be too disappointed if Yorkshire played a few shots. Here's Hannon Dolby, and Bess plays one of those, but along the deck to Bamber, who's fielding at mid-on and helpfully turns upon picking up the ball to reveal 54 on his back. Given it so cold, most of the Warwickshire fielders have their woolen sweaters on top without numbers. Unfortunate crash over on the building site away to our left.
Wasn't gentle, was it?
No. Hannon Dolby in, and Bess drops out into the offside. No run. It is reminiscent of being at Old Trafford a few years ago, although that was the other way, wasn't it? To the right of the com box, with the jackhammer doing its job, I remember, throughout an entire 4-day game. Floodlights are on here, because it was a bit gloomy for a short while, but
looks incongruous now, doesn't it?
Yeah. Sun shining, floodlights with Drax on them. Memories of Moonraker.
Wow.
For you Bond fans. Ooh, good delivery again, Hannon Dolby, and Bess squared up another ball with really good carry through to the gloves of Alex Davies.
It's the only Bond movie I saw in the cinema.
The only one, really?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen plenty of them up to about then. None of the modern stuff.
That was spot on, really, for a couple of classic Roger Mooreisms.
I saw it in a cinema in Bournemouth. I don't know why I recollect that.
Well, you've got a, you get about a bit, you don't you? Cleckheaton, Birstall, Bournemouth, Birmingham, all the bees.
Baildon.
As Baildon, yeah, as Bess leaves the final ball of the over, 116 for 6. You remember there's a scene there where he goes shooting with Drax, and there's a chap posted up on a tree, you know, ready to take out Roger, and some birds they let these birds fly, and obviously they're trying to shoot them, and Roger takes his shot. Oh, Well, he is Roger, isn't he, rather than James Bond. He takes his shot, and Drax says to him, "You missed, Mr. Bond." And then the bloke drops out of the tree, and he raises the eyebrow and says, "Did I?"
It also is one of the greatest final lines from any movie, but I'm not going to explain it. I would like a job next week as well. So Ethan Bamber comes in to bowl to George Hill. And Hill plays and misses. He was trying an airy drive there. That's really the second loose shot that Hill has played this morning. But it wasn't really quite there to be driven. He has a push of a prod. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't at this point. And you want to be able to play your natural cricket game to an extent. It's not like he's trying to smack it all over the place or anything. But batting time is the priority for Yorkshire. Bamber just giving him a bit of a tempter there, as this next one's a little bit wider, similar length. There it goes outside off stump.
There's also the bit where he walks into the room and Drax is sitting there with the sort of black and white floor tiling. It's a beautiful, stately home type place, and he's at the piano. Oh, Mr. Bond, you join us at a most propitious moment when we celebrate your nation's one undeniable contribution to civilization.
Back of a length, and that one, boy, that swings after it's past the bat. I mean, I don't know what that company does that's got their name on the floodlights, but I'm sure there are other companies that do exactly the same thing as that company does.
One undeniable contribution to civilization. Afternoon tea. Can I press you to a cucumber sandwich?
It's a large number of quotes from one James Bond movie that you know. That's a little bit concerning. Bamber in once more, and that one takes an edge and is taken by Hayne at first slip. Bamber has his man now. Hill gone for 27, and Yorkshire are teetering on the brink here. 116 for 7. Hill caught by Hayne off the bowling of Ethan Bamber.
Yeah, and it's just reward, isn't it, for being there or thereabouts. The pair of them this morning have kept the pressure on, and George just having a little push of delivery that was angled in towards him. It's not a terrible shot. He's got a slightly open face, but just looking at it again, yeah, just holds its line, and he just follows it ever so slightly, and that's enough.
Trudges off with his helmet propped up on the top of his head, has a look at his bat, and trudges off. I always think it's a positive sign. It matters to him. He's frustrated that he's got out at this point. And then will come Logan van Beek. It's really dull when he's involved in the game. He's bowling in this match. He's tended to go for about 6s, but he's also picked up 4 wickets, the majority in the deep. But he will come in now. He'll have to curb his attacking game, you would have thought. Warwickshire would have turned up today concerned that the rain was going to delay things significantly. We'll be very happy to have got the 2 not-out batters, the 2 genuine all-rounders with first-class centuries to their name. To get them both out before midday will be a real bonus.
Yeah, 60 deliveries, I think, George Hill. 67 minutes of batting and 5 fours in that 27.
So Ethan Bamber 1 away from a 5-fer. 6 wickets in the match for him. He's bowled very nicely indeed. So match figures so far of 6 for 85. He's very much become the leader of this attack since he arrived from Middlesex. This is his best bowling figure of the season. 3 for 44 earlier in the campaign. 3 for 59. First time taking 4, comes into Van Beek, down the leg side, gets nothing on it. There is a leg slip in place as well as the 4 slips. Puts his hands on his head. Van Beek was falling over as he tried to get a bat on that. So I think rather than straying down the leg side, I think that was a little bit more intended.
Yeah, if he just had it a little bit straighter, he might have got what he wanted. Saw George Hill take an extraordinary catch at leg slip recently.
Bamber approaches again, wraps Van Beek on the pad. It's a tumbling stop at the second attempt by leg slip. Dan Mosley tumbles again. Is it Mosley or is it Barnard who's there? Either way, there were several tumbles along the way. Could get a job in a circus, but it is the end of the over. 116 for 7. It actually takes that wicket takes Ethan Bamber to 21 championship wickets so far this season, which is a decent return at this point in the campaign.
Certainly is. And you can see why. Just keeps on asking questions, and nearly rewarded with the early wicket of Van Beek there as well. As you say, just the head was just going offside of it, trying to flick it away. And if he just gets a fine tickle on that, then leg slip will be in play. But he's not been employed to Ollie Hannon Dolby. 5 slips are, plus a mid-wicket, mid-on, short extra cover, and point as he bowls to Bess, and it's extra cover who comes into play.
I mean, Bess is capable. He's got first class hundreds, hasn't he?
He's got
Don Bess.
A couple, yeah.
So one last year.
Yeah, he's got one for Yorkshire, and he got one in one of those other first class games, if you like, before it. Not a county championship match. He's had, quite a few 50s. Alan Dolby bowling to him now. He walks into this.
Oh,
leading edge on it. Loops up towards short extra cover, who's not quite short enough, as it were, because the ball bounces short of him.
Barnard was in two minds whether to hurl himself forward. I think it would have been at real danger to his teeth and nose if he had done, so I'm not sure he'd got forward enough to get his hands under the ball. But Best trying to turn a ball to the leg side that may have just done a little bit off the seam. Bowled a beautiful length and line this morning, Hannon Dolby.
Here he comes again. Past umpire Warren. Bess right in behind it, punches it up to mid-off. Barnard round to field. I know he's put a lot of work in on the batting front, Dom. Speaking to the coaching staff, not just as in this season, but the last couple of years.
I think we've talked quite a bit over the course of the first 3 days about how Yorkshire members sometimes get frustrated when they see players who've come through in Yorkshire succeeding for other counties. But of course, can swing the other way. Don Bess had to leave Somerset because he wasn't going to be playing ahead of Jack Leach.
Yep, Hannon Dolby bowls. Bess flicks that one to mid-on. Aerial for a moment. No run. Yeah. Came up on loan first of all. Immediately, I think, enjoyed the environment, and when he performed as he had done in those first few matches, there was an immediate sort of desire to bring him job done. And of course, playing at a test ground for a county like Yorkshire, I think with his England ambitions, that also ticked that box. A bit more feeling of shop window about it. It's not really worked in the long term, as Hannon Dolby is in, and that's turned in front of the square by Bess. No run, but you certainly don't give up hope on that front, do you? We were talking about him as an off spinner to Joe Root last week, actually at Taunton, and Joe just said, he's whatever he is now, 28. This is about sort of prime territory, really. So definitely would not be ruling him out of international plans going forward.
Yes. Well, yeah, and if you think of the gap between Graham Swan playing one-day international cricket for England and becoming a test player, and then the success he went on to have through his 30s, you never know.
Final ball of the over. Hannon Dolby to Bess, who just dinks this out to point. No run. And also, there's been a thing about trying to bowl too many magic balls, trying to put too many variations in there, maybe bowling it a bit too quickly. I think this year, I don't know what the paces have been coming out on data-wise, but it feels like he's been letting it go more slowly, trying to get players to come down to him. Not an easy thing to do, is it? With the pitches that we play on, and particularly when you're the spinner at Headingley, I mean, just go back through the stats at Headingley in the days of covered pitches, and the deck is even better now than it probably ever has been.
It's not been easy to make a career as a Yorkshire spinner for the last 40 years, has it?
No.
James Middlebrook would testify to that, amongst others. Richard Illingworth moved elsewhere in order to play. Ethan Bamber coming in to bowl to Van Beek, and in the third ball he's faced, and he will clip this wide of that leg slip for 4. They've set the trap, but he got enough on it to avoid the fielder. 4 down to long leg. They haven't got a long leg or a deep backward square right now because they can keep the pressure on with the catchers. 120 for 7. I'll have an update to do in the next couple of minutes. But yes, under current England management, Don Bess is probably 6 or 7 inches too short because they like a tall spinner. Which, I mean, whatever. I don't know what they're going to do spinner-wise. At least it's good to see Shoaib Bashir playing a lot of cricket this year. And by all accounts, he's bowling pretty well at Derby. He's a young player who needs cricket because his skills are going to get better and better and better. Bamber in. Van Beek drives, fielded in his follow-through by Bamber. It was a bump ball. Almost knocked him sideways, that. But he got 2 good hands on it. This will be his 6th over of the morning. Barnard will probably give him another one. Certainly got very good energy levels and stamina. Bought a lot of overs yesterday evening. Comes into bowl to Van Beek again. Again, he's looking at this leg side trap and probably overdoing it a bit. Gets a bit of bat and pad on it. Into the leg side, and there's no run. So update time for BBC Radio Dublin and BBC Coventry and Warwickshire in just a second. This is Richard Wilford at Edgbaston, where the ground staff did rather well to mean that we only had a delayed start of 15 minutes. We came on at 11:15, and Warwickshire have got the 2 batsmen who were not out overnight and sent them back to the pavilion. Matthew Revis caught well at second slip by Rob Yates, his 6th catch of the match. Ollie Hannon-Dolby, the wicket taker, he went for 41. And then Ethan Bamber with his 4th of the innings. Sam Hain doing the honours at first slip as George Hill knocked off. Don Bess and Logan Van Beek are out there at the moment for Yorkshire. 549 the notional target. They need to try and survive the day. They're in trouble on 120 for 7. As Bamber is in, pushed through point by Van Beek for a single. Lintott does the fielding. 121 for 7.
The boundary, by the way, by Logan Van Beek meant that Yorkshire avoided the ignominy of a record defeat by runs in first-class cricket history. That remains 433 in the match, I think, in which Matthew Revis made his debut at Headingley in 2019, when Darren Stevens and Sam Billings went berserk in an afternoon session and hit 200.
Yeah.
That was my first season doing the job. Record defeat.
Is it always going to be like this, you thought?
Yeah.
Bamber, right arm over the wicket in again, and well, Bess has got something on that. He's gone all along the deck in the end. Through Alex Davis. What's he got? A bit of bat, bit of pad. Just misses off stump. Wow, that was close. End of the over, 121 for 7. We lost 4 overs to the weather earlier. Lunch will be at the normal time, it being the final day at 1 o'clock. Warwickshire won their last home outing against Essex. They played pretty well here against Surrey as well. They're making the best of the home ground, and they're still here again on Friday against Glamorgan. So 4 of their first 6 are at home. 2 away games back-to-back in June at Taunton and Scarborough. And then a couple more home games in August. September is largely on their travels as well, because the test match here this year is in September. So they're going to get through most of their home programme pretty quickly this year. Got to make the most of it.
In comes Hannon-Dolby then to bowl to Van Beek, who has again been snaffled at second slip by Rob Yates. Wow, he's having a field day in the cordon, and Van Beek has gone for 5. Hannon-Dolby strikes again, 2 for 14 for him in this innings, 121 for 8. We are nearly on the M42.
Is that the route you'd take from here?
Yeah.
I suppose you know you're a little bit of the M42. Rob Yates, that's his 7th catch of the match now, which takes him to 16 victims so far this season. 16 catches for Rob Yates, who started this match with a very rare drop when James Wharton hadn't scored. He went on to get 40 in a low-scoring first innings, but he's more than atoned for that. And it gives Ollie Hannah-Dolby his 6th wicket of the match, which, after the difficulties of last season and being away on loan for the first part of this season, he will be absolutely thrilled. He's so relaxed at the moment. And when we saw him at the back of the box, or myself and Melinda saw him at the back of the box yesterday lunchtime with his son Arthur, baby in arms, beautiful big blue eyes. The baby, not Ollie. I think right now he's pretty chilled. He knows he's at the tail end of his career, 36 years of age. But as we've seen on this surface this week, he's still really capable of causing damage against the Division 1 batting lineup.
Yeah, they've both been excellent, the pair of opening bowlers. Ben Cliff has gone in at 10. Takes his guard, does a bit of a bat twiddle. Probably know what he'll be feeling like now. And Warwickshire have stuck in a 6th man in the cordon. Here is Joel Garner bowling from the Birmingham end. Ben Cliff flicks it off his legs.
Similar height.
There is no run. It's got that feel about it, hasn't it?
I once collected Joel Garner's autograph on the outfield at Worcester after a Sunday League game. And he accused me of already being round once and that I was getting it for the 2nd time, and I didn't, and I was really upset. Because you're really upset by those sort of things when you're a primary school age child, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Joel Garner's told me off. Did nothing wrong.
Here's Hannah-Dolby again. Oh, Cliff tries to play the leave, and he's going to probably end up with 4 here, down through fine leg. He does. He was very late leaving it, and therefore didn't, and it deflected it between his body and leg stump. We used to have a name for that, and it's gone for 4.
Yep, a little inside edge past the stump. And Dolby unlucky not to have added to his haul. Sam Hain enjoying a little chase there. He was saying last night that he was really emotional getting 100 for the first time with his son on the ground. He's realised his son won't have noticed because he's not a year old yet, I don't think, not quite. But it felt important to get that first 100 as a dad. So
here is Hannah-Dolby again, and Cliff opens the face, runs it out to point. There is no run.
Be a good one to save from here, wouldn't it?
It would be a remarkable achievement if they were able to do that. Yeah, I spoke to Ben Cliff and Jack White and Logan Van Beek this morning at Breckers when I walked in. Not sure any of the trio were particularly looking forward to having to attempt to bat for this length of time, as that's inside the line from Ben Cliff, playing it just like George Hill did a little bit earlier. 125 for 8. 2 wickets for Warwickshire to get this done and dusted. Get a couple of extra sessions rest into the bodies. Get the ice bath done. I know Richard will be doing that once this is over.
I don't know about. I might put some ice in a rum and coke later, much later. The way they're going, I'll have to go to the office.
That'll never do. Hannah-Dolby is in, and Cliff right in behind that pushes back to the bowler in his follow through to complete that over at 125 for 8.
Well, I think it's almost a bonus to Warwickshire, given the expected weather this morning, to have got themselves 2 wickets away from victory so early in the day here. You know, there was a real possibility that we could have been waiting a few hours to see any play at all, and that would have added a little bit of pressure. It would have given Hill and Revis a bit more to bat for. There's still some dark clouds away to our left, but they've played, what, 55 minutes? Taken 3 crucial wickets. Bess is still there, but yet to score. Just the 4 slips and a leg slip for him, as Bamber will drive in again, looking for his 5th of the innings. Comes down the wicket, Bess, and then leaves it alone outside off stump. And through to Alex Davis.
They've got a long way to go and a lot of batting to do if they're to avoid their previous heaviest defeat by runs against Warwickshire in County Championship history, first class history. That was a 198 run defeat at St George's Road, Harrogate in 1911. That is very much on.
This one full, just blocked into the offside by Bess. And there's no wrong. What was the number again?
198.
198?
I
mean, to be fair,
that would be a heck of an effort to avoid that, wouldn't it?
For a lot of the history of these two counties, certainly until 1990, you're talking about one outstanding county that won loads and loads of titles, and one that at times had some long barren spells, Warwickshire. Bamber in, driven nicely by Bess. He'll get off the mark here. Will it go all the way for 4? That's the question. The chase is on. I think it's going to just about stop. It's recovered by Ed Barnard, and they'll just settle for 2. So he's not keen to get Cliff on strike. 127 for 8.
Yeah, I think realistically, given that there's only 2 wickets remaining, you wouldn't say it's completely beyond the realms that it's going to be only Yorkshire's 3rd heaviest defeat by runs. They've got to get down to 375 to get to that stage.
Bamber approaches once more. Bess almost flicks that through the wicketkeeper, almost got something on it. Looked back a little bit warily to Alex Davis.
But it probably will be. And that 376 run defeat, the 2nd heaviest inflicted by runs on Yorkshire, came at Chelmsford against Essex in 2017.
Bamber, 7th over of the morning. So it might be his last couple of deliveries here, as this is punted through the covers for 4. That's a nice shot from Bess. But the chase is on from Barnard, and he's just going to be beaten in the last 1.5 foot.
I don't think that was anything to do with timing. I think maybe just because of the rain, it's just slowed things down in the outfield a bit. Because I think the other one would have been 4 down beneath our feet as well. It felt for about 4/5 of the way that it was going to make the boundary rope, and then just didn't quite.
This is the damper edge of the ground as well. So not surprised if it holds up a little bit. Yeah, it might lead to it being a spell for Ethan Bamber here. As he approaches the ball once more to Bess, turned him round slightly, back down the wicket, end of the over. 450 for Bamber. Yorkshire 131 for 8 with another 3/4 of an hour through till lunch.
Yeah, so an hour of play more or less this morning. Well, they were supposed to start at 11:15, didn't quite start on time, but more or less an hour. They've managed to survive with a loss of 3. Bamber's been excellent. Hannon Dolby, who's continuing at the Birmingham end of the ground, has also been excellent. And it's just what you want. You know, when your team is on top, you don't want to relinquish it, you don't want to drag it out anymore. And you just bowl with discipline and the wickets will come. They always do. And it's very, very rare that you get both bowlers on it and you don't see wickets.
Yeah, I know what you mean. If you can bowl as a pair, you've got that. I bet Jordan Thompson would love another bowl. The 6 slips are in place again here.
Alan Dolby's in. Ooh, Cliff playing inside the line and through to the gloves of Alex Davies. No run. Yeah, I think the one thing that Tomo, well, There's a few things I suppose he hasn't achieved in the match, such as a half century or whatever, but the one thing he really wanted that he's not got his hands on is the wicket of Adam Lyth, because that's what he said in the build-up. I said to him, if there's one wicket, just one wicket out of all the Yorkshire players who you'd love to take when you play them for the first time, who would it be? And he said, no doubt, Adam Lyth, because the number of times he's done the stand and admire when he's driven me through the offside in the nets back at home and signalled fours as Hannon Dolby bowls and Cliff wonderfully inside the line through to the gloves of Davies. So that was the one prize, more than any caught and bowled of Harry Brook or Johnny Bairstow. Maybe next time, JT, because he's got another chance in a few weeks at Scarborough.
He enjoyed the Harry Brook dismissal though.
Oh, he certainly did.
Quite the roar. He's still finding his feet here with the Bears. 130 runs and 11 wickets so far in his first 5 games.
And Dolby bowls, and that's dropped into the offside by Cliff, and there's no run. But there'll be, there usually is anyway, you know, a few more on the gate at Scarborough than we get for Headingley matches. Although that's been dwindling to some extent in the last year or two, and of course there was a lot of complaints about the pricing there last year. But still, you know, we all love a trip over there. It's a great place to go watch cricket, and he'll love being back, if selected, I'm sure, against his old county up there. That's another few weeks away just yet. And here's Hannon Dolby trying to finish off this match, bowling wide of off stump, and Ben Cliff not being suckered into playing at that. 6 slips. It's one of those, isn't it, where Ollie will want the photographer to have a good shot of this. So when the young un grows up, he can say, look, there you go. Your dad was quick enough to have 6 slips.
What he's got in this match is the carry. It's the carry that's really awkward from the length that he's getting.
He's in again. This one's fuller. And Ben Cliff leaves.
That ball had a good look at off stump on its way through.
Yeah. But Ben just completely unmoved out there. He's, you know, what's all the fuss about, lads?
A good leave is one that makes no sound until it hits the gloves of the wicketkeeper.
A distinct lack of atmosphere, I've got to say, today. Not many in the ground. Back end of the game, clanking and banging away to the left. That's the atmosphere that's been created on the building site.
It's quite percussive, that particular sound that we've just been hearing.
Yeah, the builder's triangle.
Oh. It's like they're creating a little glockenspiel.
Hannon Dolby. Ooh, good delivery, and Ben Cliff plays inside the line to complete that over at 131 for 8. Warwickshire will have a change of personnel.
Well, what is significant about that change of personnel is that it's Nathan Gilchrist. So I wonder whether he's now officially part of this team as a substitute. He's come on for Jake Lintott. Michael Booth out injured, and that may well indicate that Nathan Gilchrist is coming on as an official full substitute for the injury that was suffered by Booth in that clash with Zen Malik yesterday, as Bamber comes in to bowl to Bess, who drives it to backward point. Good tumbling stop there. Actually, has he come on for somebody else? I think Lintott is still at point. 131 for 8. Bamber trying to get the 5th wicket that he probably deserves here. Comes into bowl to Bess, who's on 6. He comes a long way forward and jabs the ball down into the leg side. There's no run. Just waiting for official word as to whether Gilchrist has become a full playing member of this match. He did warm up this morning with the other bowlers once the covers have been cleared and the mopping up operation was going on. There's an appeal for LBW here from Bamber. That was always going down the leg side. You can see the movement of Alex Davis. Leg slip was also on the move. Gilchrist is doing some stretching there, so there are peculiar regulations currently. They have been much discussed during the first 3 days here, as they have been at most of the games around the country, I'm sure, if you've been listening online on the BBC. Here's Bamber in to Best once more. Again, he's taken a couple of strides forward and defending it out on the leg side. 2 wickets required by Warwickshire. Yorkshire with still another 77 overs after this, notionally, to try and bat through. We lost 4 overs on the day to the rain this morning. Bamber approaches again. He's got 4 slips and a leg slip, and that's a leave from Best. Keeps it a little bit low on its way through. So no official update on the scorecard yet, but I do suspect that Gilchrist is now a fully fledged member of this match. He's not the obvious choice as a substitute fielder. You never know, it could be that's what he's doing. We've still got Barnard, Thompson and Webster to bowl to try and find these 2 final wickets. But short of a length, and he's trying to pull their Best and he didn't quite get anything on it. It goes through to Davis. There's a bit of a yelp from Ethan Bamber, and that might have been his last opportunity for today to take that wicket. But all the speculation about Gilchrist may now come to nothing, because he's coming back off the pitch and Jordan Thompson's returning. So, but you can understand now, it makes you speculate, doesn't it? Because he would be the like-for-like replacement for Booth. He'd be the fast bowler who digs it in, and so I think they would be considered equivalents.
Yep, afternoon to Richard Mallender, who, I've just been through the book for those records I was mentioning. He's actually messaged me with those details as well, just in support of what I was saying. There's a good delivery from Hannon Dolby again, has drawn an appeal. Ben Cliff playing across that slightly. There is no run.
Least interested in the appeal was the bowler. He didn't go for it at all.
No, it was just a come on, we just want to get this done type of an appeal. Jordan Thompson's slotted in at his usual position of 5th slip.
Whenever you need one, he's ready for it.
I'm your man.
It's his specialist position. Yeah.
Hannon Dolby bowls. Cliff plays inside the line again. Repeat. Logan Van Beek did say to me this morning, I thought about you yesterday. I said, oh, that's very kind of you, thank you. What were you thinking? And he said, well, I was out there on the field and there was an over where 4 balls went to exactly the same fielder and the other 2 went to me. And he said, I thought, I wonder what the commentators are saying at this point when they were 400 odd in front. And I said it was really interesting what we were coming out with. We were theorising all sorts of stuff, weren't we, Richard?
Undoubtedly.
And Dolby's in. Oh, he's got a thickish edge on that. Ben Cliff played with soft hands though, and he's got a run from it. Goodness gracious me, that is backward of point for 1.
It was yesterday then. Mel wasn't talking about Jane Austen novels. That was the day before. Bo Webster's doing a bit of warming up at the moment. We would have been talking about something really entertaining.
Yeah.
And of great cultural significance.
I said to him, I think I was actually mentioning, can you just please bowl it one side of the wicket? When you're on next. He probably would have just laughed at that, actually.
Yeah. I think if he's taking the mickey out of the commentary team, you probably get away with that.
Hannon Dolby in and bowling. Bess groping for that one outside off stump, walking into it again to try and negate any nibble, but didn't quite succeed. These banks of seating, when you go sit round the other side, the ones away to our left, quite steep, aren't they?
They are. They wouldn't be great for me, I have to say.
No. The worst I've felt from that point of view in a stadium was at the Millennium Stadium, as it was then called, in Cardiff, one of the Rugby League Challenge Cup finals, sitting fairly high up, and you were more or less on the head of the person on the row below as Hannon Dolby's in. Oh, Bess is going to get something here. Was that off the bat? Was it off his boot? It was off the bat, says Russell Warren. It went straight over the head of Alex Davies. Hannon Dolby is asking him something, not quite sure what.
I think he said, "Are you sure that wasn't off his foot?" He said for it to go up like that.
I know.
And if it was off his foot, wasn't it a decent shout? And it is off his foot. His foot may be slightly outside the line of off stump, so doesn't negate the decision by the umpire. I think he got it right. But I do think that should have been 4-leg buys. I don't think he's got a bat on it. No,
it didn't appear to. Unless he thinks he chopped it into his foot, but I'm sure he'd have been hopping around either way.
And look, total respect for Don Bess here. They've gone down to 4 slips.
I like that. Total respect for Don Bess. You always got the right word at the right moment, Richard Wilson.
That was definitely luck.
136 for 8, following that 4 to Don Bess as it goes in the record books. And he's got 4 more here because finally the lesser spotted half volley from Ollie Hannon Dolby this morning. He's been driven through extra cover for 4. Bess is on to 14. 140 for 8. A 19-run 9th wicket partnership. It's the hope that kills you.
Bo Webster is going to enter the attack now. He's not bad against the tail enders in particular with that extra bit of height. He's a very useful partnership breaker. I know this circumstance is a bit different today, but these two have added 19 for the 9th wicket. And he's going to have 3 slips. Is he going to have a leg slip? No, I think he's going to have 4 orthodox slips. Webster wanted another warm-up delivery and couldn't bowl it at somebody's back. Waited for them to turn round. Sun is casting shadows again. It's a cool sun though. Jacket zipped up today. As Webster comes in to bowl to Cliff, who survived 14 deliveries so far for his 5, and it'll get probably 4 runs down to third unless the outfield being wet holds things up. Jake Lintott is giving chase. Indeed, it really slows down. And he only took 1 anyway. They probably could have gone for 3, but Bess didn't want it to be 2. He's trying to keep the strike and delay things as long as possible, hoping that these dark clouds away to our left bring the next shower.
Yeah, somebody messaged me actually after last week's win at Taunton saying, somebody who goes by the name of Bob de Pledge, do you think Bess has any hope of an England recall?
Webster in once more. No ball. As Bess pushes out on the offside, takes the score to 143 for 8. I mean, not yet.
To which I replied, in the words of John H. Groberg, 1984, there is always hope. For without hope, life loses its meaning, direction, and the ability to endure. Quote unquote.
You did a lot of quotes today. You were bemoaning your memory earlier. Is Webster outside off stump, driven through the offside by Bess, and this one I think will have the legs to get over the rope for 4. And he's up to 18, 147 for 8. It's not a counter attack, but he's if the ball's there to be hit in the slot, he's putting it away now.
Yeah, might as well. There's no sense in just putting the bat back in the locker. Need to use it. Just try not to do anything outrageous.
Webster has not made the start to his spell that he would have liked here. In again to Bess. Rushes him a bit with that one, angled into towards middle and leg. And he plays it away pretty much one-handed in the end up to mid-on where it's fielded by Hannon Dolby. Half an hour left till lunch. Warwickshire will want it done by then. Dark clouds just skirting up towards the city centre, around the side of the ground for now. particularly want them going directly overhead, unless you're a Yorkshire fan. Webster the best, plays it defensively, back down the wicket. There's a ball in its 49th over now, and it probably doing a little bit less, Jonathan, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't. It was nibbling about. I would say probably a bit more so for Hannon Dolby to our eyes from the angle that we're at. Not easy to tell without watching the pictures. I like to commentate from the eye, preferably.
Webster in once more. Best off the inner half of the bat. Steers it towards mid-wicket. Malik across to do the fielding. Players would like to keep him off strike for the start of the next over. They don't necessarily change the field. They're not playing that game fully. Best is becoming an obstacle, which is what he'll want to do. And Cliff at the moment is providing sufficient support. Webster in to complete his third over of the innings. And Best trying to force it off the back foot. He'd like a run. It's parried by one fielder into the path of a second. It's picked up by Ed Barnard. And that is the end of the over. And it looks like Ollie Hannon Dolby is going to go again. He hadn't yet picked up his sweater, which is over the boundary rope. Pops his cap on the top of the stumps. And he's going to bowl what will be his 9th over of the morning. It's a serious spell. He's 2 for 27 in 15 overs. And in all, he has 6 wickets in the match. He's 6 for 65.
For some reason on socials, the 1970 FA Cup final has just popped up. Chelsea 2, Leeds United 2. That was the match where didn't they re-ref it during COVID or something to do, and they said that 11 players would have been sent off under current rules.
That's actually quite plausible, those two teams.
Hannon Dolby bowling to Cliff, who strikes that firmly into terra firma, and it bounces up kindly into the right hand of Hannon Dolby as he followed through.
There was a bit of panic at the far end there when Hannon Dolby was getting his hand on the ball from Don Bess. He'd gone a few yards down and suddenly realised he might be in bother at the non-striker's end. He's always busy doing something, even when he's the non-striker.
Yeah, Steve McQueen.
Steve McQueen?
Well, I mentioned the Brinner and McQueen thing, didn't I? Earlier in the match.
Yep.
Here's Hannon Dolby in again, and that's wide of Cliff's off stump and he leaves. Well, that was more with reference to Johnny, really, wasn't it?
I thought you were going to start lacing this over with prefab sprout lyrics.
No. That when cricket breaks down.
Yeah.
Tony Sweeney's heading back to the ground.
Good album, Steve McQueen. It's a good album.
Yeah, it is. A good band. Tony Sweeney probably back in the ground now. The rain dance worked for a little while, but I fear will not see the day out. I think your fears may be all too well realised. Tony, Yorkshire supporter, travels all over the place to watch the county. Hannon Dolby in, slants one down the leg side, an easy leave for Ben Cliff. Gaza lad says, what's going on with our beloved cricket team? My early season optimism is slowly fading away. This is terrible.
We might think differently at 6 o'clock. Ground staff are getting interested again. Really quite murky away to our left. Any rain here would lead to an early lunch, so you wouldn't initially lose anything until you got beyond 40 minutes.
Yeah, then you look at the board and there's still 74.3 overs remaining in the match. 8 down, Hannon Dolby to Cliff, who plays nicely, timed it well to show extra cover, no run. Mark Clayton, afternoon to you, says good one to win from here. Yeah. Nigh on impossible. You can get in touch if you want to commiserate early, as people seem to be doing.
You want to commit what? Harry Carey? What?
At Jonathan Doidge, or at Jonathan Doidge 1 on Instagram, or whatever else it is. Jonathan.Doidge at Blue Sky, or something like that, for Blue Sky. BBC West Yorkshire Sport at gmail.com. Ben Cliff has just played a lovely little push of an off drive and picks up couple of runs to the left-hand side of Hannon Dolby's follow-through.
Zach Crawley's difficult summer has continued this morning. Out for 17 today in the second innings of Kent's game at Bristol.
Yeah. I know they're back players and all that, but you do think
he's made no case, has he?
The end
this
is
summer.
Well,
this is going to be. I reckon this is Ollie Hannon Dolby's last ball. He's got 6 slips and a short extra.
Balls to Cliff, and he's rearranged the furniture behind him. Leg stump poleaxed. Yorkshire virtually gone as well, because just Jack White to come in. And Ben Cliff has been bowled for 8 by the excellent Ollie Hannon Dolby. 3 for 29 from 16 overs for him. 7 of them maidens, and it's 149 for 9.
Might not be his last ball of the day now, because he might try and go again, but that's his 7th wicket of the match. On his comeback after his loan spell at Worcestershire, he and Ethan Bamber, 13 of the 19 wickets that have fallen have gone between them. That's a really good return from the opening pair, who've bowled with control and discipline. That was the end of another over. He will not be in a hurry to get his sweater here, OHD. I know him well enough to know that. And that just angled in very, very full, and Cliff never got down to it. The ball goes underneath the bat and through onto the stumps. Leg stump that comes out in the end. And here comes Jack White, who looks as full of energy as he does when he's not bowling. I do, as you know from these last few days, I really do like Jack White a lot. I've liked him since I saw him first play for Northamptonshire. The massive effort, as you said, he's bowling fit. You know, he looks exhausted at the start of a 4-day match, but he gives everything, absolutely everything, and puts the ball in the right place a lot. He bowled as well as anybody in the Yorkshire bowling lineup. He was the pick of the bowlers. Matthew Revis, I think, can hold his head high the way he bowled in this match as well. But here's Bo Webster to bowl to Dom Bess. He's only got one man to support him now, and Bess, as a result, is clipping this towards mid-wicket and not taking the run, even though it goes out to the boundary rider, Zen Malik. So we're going to have a little bit of this in and out stuff now. Difficult situation for Bess. But he'll be thinking, well, look, rain could be here any minute. Never quite know. Webster in again, back of a length. He's pulling this, and he's going to get it into the crowd for 6 here on that short boundary. That's beautifully played. And the 150 up for Yorkshire, 155 for 9.
I thought there needed to be people there for it to be a crowd.
Well, 3 people raced to the scene to try and pick up the ball.
He struck it well, didn't he?
Well, no. The guy shouted to the fella sitting next to him, "I'll go and get it." It's too far away to hear him. There were only 6 people in that stand earlier. I reckon there's about 12 now. Webster bowls past the outside edge of Bess. There's a good, little contingent tucked away in the press box stand, and then a few on the other side. A lot of people who are here today will be indoors because it is cold.
Yeah, there's a bloke sitting. Well, they're all sitting separately, probably because it's too crowded. Really, they just want a bit of space. Richard.
It would be a little bit quirky if you entered the ground at this point and went and sat next to somebody who you didn't know. That'll be Webster in again, turned into the leg side. And there's a single to Bess. 2 balls left for White to try and survive at the end of this over. And it would be the equivalent of when you go to the loo and you take the middle of 3 urinals, and creates a real quandary for the next person in.
Yeah. So, Bean, Wharton, Lythe, Brook and Bairstow, the first 5 wickets yielded 74. The next 4 have bettered that, and there's still this big last wicket.
Another reverse split. True of Warwickshire's first innings here. Webster's to come round the wicket, 4 slips in place, and White, with no foot movement at all, just holds his bat out there and pushes the ball towards mid-off. Grandstaff sitting on the hover cover, but they're not spread to the corners of it now as they were briefly for the second time today. 4 slips, a leg slip, a short extra cover, a short mid-wicket. Ollie Hannon-Dolby's getting quite close at point. Bo Webster's final ball of the over, and White lashes his hands through that, well, through the air, misses the ball, and it goes through to Alex Davis, and it's the end of the over. Yorkshire 392 runs behind on 156 for 9.
Yeah, he played it with the flair of one of Warwickshire's former greats in Alvin Calicharan there, but just didn't take the ball with him.
He's about a foot too high to be Alvin Calicharan. As a secondary school kid, the joy of coming here and watching Alvin bat, and there was a summer where you'd turn up every Saturday that Warwickshire were at home. They'd almost always bat first, and Alvin would make at least 100, often 200 on that opening day, and he just sat and lapped it up.
Hannon-Dolby in and bowling to Bess, who's flicked one off his legs for 4, down through fine leg. Yeah, where summers were endless, days were long, the rains never came. Yeah, I know.
Oh gosh,
feeling.
I remember some deluges, but there was one summer in particular where Alvin was in a hugely rich vein of form, and any youngster around that time knows he was the toughest autograph to get. Did not like signing autographs.
Hannon-Dolby just taking his time to give the ball an extra bit of shine as he tries to pick up this final wicket.
Oh,
dear me, Don Bess limboing underneath that and trying to play the uppercut through to the slip cord. I think I should just let you finish things off here, Richard. Give you the honour with the 1 wicket to take, and I'll just fill in the gaps.
Could last for ages, but thank you. Could last for ages. I don't know. The worst of the dark clouds seem to have avoided us for now. 1 wicket remaining for Warwickshire. They've been in the field for almost an hour and a half today to take the 4. 3 of them coming for Ollie Hannon-Dolby in the 10th over of his spell. Into bowl to Bess, who just pushes forward in defence. Ed Barnard walks round at mid-off to do the fielding. So Yorkshire-Surrey coming up on Friday.
Yeah. Okay. So just the fixture you want on the back of what's looking like being your second heaviest ever defeat by runs. Unless they can get another, 14, 15 here.
But Joe Root back, in theory. So Root, Brook, both on the side. Joy Richardson, you won't be surprised to see him play after a rest this week. Maybe that's the big match that will get him going, as a swing and a miss from a ball that continues to swing away, and it's taken almost in front of second slip's feet by Alex Davis.
Gus Atkinson's out, isn't he? And there's a suggestion that Ollie Pope might miss as well.
Yep.
So, I mean, that means they'll just positively be bringing their second team.
Yeah, Atkinson presumably
unfortunately is also.
Yeah. Atkinson should still be under concussion protocol at that point, you would think. Yeah, I mean, look, the strength in depth there is incredible. The young lad Thomas has been making runs as well. Should be a good game of cricket though. As Hannon-Dolby comes in again to Don Bess, a slower, fuller ball. He's trying to do to him what he did to Ben Cliff, but Bess is rather more capable and just dabs down on this ball. Remains on 29. Warwickshire at home to Glamorgan, who are involved in a very good game this week. So their mood might be determined by the events of this afternoon. And they're chasing 283 to beat Somerset, and they're 183 for 5. Sean Dixon on 32 against one of his former counties. And it's a former county that, of course, Hannon-Dolby is facing as he comes into bowl to Don Bess, who's looking to cut this, and it goes over the top of the bat and through to Alex Davis. And that might just have to be a spell, I think, for Ollie Hannon-Dolby. The way that Jordan Thompson is skipping around, swirling his arm, suggests that will be the case. And yeah, it's arm round the back from Ed Barnard. But what a terrific performance from Ollie Hannon-Dolby. He's taken 7 wickets in this match in total, and has Warwickshire on the brink of victory.
Yeah, and wouldn't Tomo love to finish this off? He's probably been nagging away at Ed Barnard for a while out there. You can imagine at pitch level. Come on, just one over. Come on, I'll only need one ball. Come on, give it a go.
He hasn't bowled many overs in this match. He's taken 4 wickets. 4 slips in place as White faces Webster, and he was reversing out the way of that, but then turns it neatly off his pads and trudges through for a single. I don't think I'm doing Jack White a disservice when I say trudge. When he gets himself off strike, that was his job. 161 for 9.
Yeah, I think, I don't know whether bowlers say things to batters like, for goodness sake, lads, can you please get some runs and give me a rest? Or not, but he'd probably be fully entitled to do that if he were that way inclined, Jack.
Yeah, don't think he is though, is he? Just loves playing this game. It's the impression you always get. Webster, back of a length, trying to launch it over square leg again is best. It's gone through Alex Davis, and then the ball I think is going to die before it reaches the rope, and they don't run.
No, I think it's probably an arrangement where Jack walked out and said, look, I've put the kit on, you just bat and I'll just face the minimum number of deliveries possible in an innings, please.
Webster approaches once more, and Best leaves that alone well outside off stump.
Yeah, Dom plays well square on the wicket both sides, but there's not been much in the way of a delivery, barring the one that he pulled for 6. That's been able to let him get his hands through one square. Field is changing at the moment and closing in with half of the over done, so they've now ringed it with still the 4 slips in place.
Oh, he's going to try and play a big shot here, I reckon. Webster comes in. Bess is reversing onto his stumps and then playing and missing and leans on his bat. Puts all his entire weight on his bat. He was almost standing on his stumps by the time the ball was delivered there.
Yeah, he looked like he was trying to be inventive. With 71.2 overs to go.
Webster in once more to Bess, who's going to lift this over the vacant square leg area. Will he carry it all the way for another 6? He does. Bo Webster looks disconsolate with that. His figures are taking a bit of a slamming. 167 for 9. Bess on 35, closing in on Revis for the top scorer in the innings. Didn't score in his first 14 balls, a run a ball since then. But he didn't overhit that, he just lifted it nicely. It's sort of those sort of shots Ed Barnard was playing yesterday.
Yeah, took the opportunity. He's just getting a bit of practice in. Or other challenges.
It's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. I mean, the weather forecast for the rest of the day suggests that the bulk of these 71 remaining overs are going to be available. And it would be a bit of history if these two stuck around that long. So, umpire, as per the regulations, because that's gone into the concrete area of the stand, checks the ball. Warwickshire then dry the ball. Eventually it will be returned to Bo Webster for the final ball of his 5th over. We are almost 10 minutes away from lunch now, which I think is a fixed point, even 9 down, isn't it, on the final day? Can't remember whether it is or not now. Should have the regs in front of me, really. Webster very full outside off stump, and that's going to be slashed through the covers for 4. 39 to Bess. He's enjoying himself and making the most of the situation. As you say, from his point of view, get some runs on the board, get a good knock. Could be more important runs next week, but it'll be in some sort of zone as Jordan Thompson gets ready to bowl for the first time today.
Yep, licking his lips, rubbing his hands together, call it what you will, because he's got Yorkshire's number 11 to bowl at, and he'll try and make it happen one more time.
Jack White is wearing sort of a very bright, very new-looking sweater. Very bright, pretty new-looking trousers, and still just carrying a slightly scruffy air to him. It's an achievement that I think I would probably live with myself. Just looks slightly dishevelled. Which is kind of his thing, isn't it? Slightly dishevelled, I think. He's bowling with his headband on and his hair flaring out. He bowled terrifically. This is a bit more of a big ask here as Thompson comes in round the wicket. 4 slips in place. Does he get a nick? And it only took 1 delivery. And Warwickshire have won this match. They have beaten Yorkshire by 377 runs. Jordan Thompson, with his 5th wicket in the innings, rounds things off. 171 all-out Yorkshire, a 2nd successive home win for Warwickshire, which will keep them nicely in the top half of the county championship table. They'll then go on to host Glamorgan next week. Yorkshire will be at home to Surrey after a game that turned after a day one that was dominated by Yorkshire and turned out to be a resounding victory for the home side.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Congratulations to Warwickshire on an excellent turnaround of events after that first day with the bat. They've completely and utterly dominated things since the start, really, of their second innings. That poor hour with the ball for Yorkshire, getting them ahead. And it's a grip that they have squeezed ever more tightly between then and what was 12:51 on the final day. And Yorkshire have suffered after winning at Taunton last week, knocking the table toppers Somerset off their perch. They've suffered their 2nd heaviest ever defeat by runs in the history of the club. 377 only outshone, or however you would put that, by the 433 that they lost by against Kent at Headingley back in 2019. There's a bit to do.
Really useful victory again for Warwickshire, 2nd of the season in the Championship. Our thanks to Mel Farrell, who was with us for the first 3 days of this game. Always a pleasure to share the box with Jonathan Doidge. Great to have you down in Birmingham this week. These 2 teams will do battle again next month at Scarborough, and that'll be very interesting to see whether Yorkshire can exact some sort of revenge. But it's all over here at Edgbaston, with Warwickshire beating Yorkshire by 377 runs.